Join us in the Bear Den, a real-life, real-love podcast celebrating the joys and challenges of parenting, family dynamics, and unconditional love.
Welcome to another episode of the Bear Den podcast. Today, I have one of my most beautiful friends in the hot seat. She's the owner of Riot Dance Fitness, which again will kick your ass if you want to work out and have fun. It is Miss Kristi McHenry. How are you, my love?
Hello. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you being here. I know we've tried multiple times over multiple months, but I'm finally glad we managed to dial you in and get you in the hot seat.
We did it.
We did it. So I mentioned Riot Fitness. We're going to talk about that in a little while. I know I'm wearing your swag to represent and brand
I love
you.
It looks so good.
It does look good. And it's one of my favorite hoodies too. It's so comfy. But I want to talk about when you and I last year, we were in Lake Powell with the families and whatnot. And we started just having this very gentle opening conversation. And I was like, I would love you on my podcast to talk about that. So I want to go back to Kristi McHenry, little Kristi, growing up. You have a very unique family dynamic. So I just want to dig into that. So where were you born and raised? Who was little Kristi? What was little Kristi all about?
All right. I was born and raised in Salt Lake.
Okay.
I still have yet to leave, at least for any long period of time. And I am my mom's only child.
Okay.
I was my dad's fourth girl and the baby by a long shot. My next closest sister is 14 years older than me. So I just had all the moms pretty much.
Yeah.
Like all these sisters were just like my adult
So there
parents.
was you, and then the
Me.
next one up was 14.
15, and 19.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wowzers.
Yep.
Did you feel, because I have the same spread as you. I don't know if you know that, but like my next sibling is 14 years older than me. And then the one after that is 2 years older than him. So it's 14 and 16 years between me and my siblings. Did you feel very alone growing up? Like only childish?
Honestly, I loved it. Like
You loved it?
I loved it. And my mom and I are really close.
Okay.
And like I loved having the dynamic of like I was my mom's only child, and so I got all the attention there. And I mean, I don't know if you know that only children pretty much get anything that they want.
Oh, yeah.
Just you could have asked Elle that 2 years ago, and she would be like, "Yeah, I lived the best life ever."
Yeah.
Well, she still does. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But I also was able to like have the fun dynamic of siblings. My sisters were old enough that I don't really remember living in the house with them until we all came home as adults. Because,
Gotcha.
everybody has to come home as an adult once in their
some
life,
point.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. So them, were they doing a lot of like babysitting? Did you have much connectivity with your sisters with that such a big age? Because they would have been going to college and
Right.
right as you were kind of getting to that 3-4 years old, they'd have been going to
Right.
college,
So
right?
yes. I don't remember a ton of that.
Yeah.
Like I remember I remember both of my sisters going to the University of Utah, but I had to have been 5 or 6 by then.
Yeah.
4 or 5 probably. And then my oldest sister, she got married when I was 3, and I don't think I actually remember that. I just remember, or I've seen photos.
So these are your their step.
So they're my half sisters.
Half sisters. Sorry,
Yes.
yeah, half sisters.
Yes.
Do you have any biological siblings?
No.
Okay, so
No.
just have half sisters.
I have half sisters and step siblings as well from my parents' later in life relationships.
Yeah, that's right. I remember we were talking. You have there's multiple remarriages in there with multiple siblings
Yep.
layered on top. So, in total, how many siblings do you have?
So I have my 3 half sisters, and then I have 2 stepbrothers. One has passed away, and then a stepbrother and a stepsister on my stepdad's side.
Gotcha. Do you have good relationships with all of them?
Pretty much.
Yeah. That's and are they the other step siblings? Are they closer to your age? Or are they closer to your half sisters?
So everyone is quite a bit older.
So you really are the baby.
I really am. My stepbrother Ben, who lives in Tucson,
Yeah.
he is 9 years older than me. So
Okay.
we are closer for sure in age. But then my step siblings on my stepdad Ken's side, they had kids my age. So I grew up with their kids, which was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your mum and your dad
Mm-hmm.
had you, obviously your dad had children from a previous marriage.
Well, we can go back to the beginning.
Yeah, let's do
So-
this. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's try and map this out. This is fun.
It is a story and a half. So my dad was married to my sister's mom,
Yep.
and they all lived here in Sandy.
Okay.
My father owned a bowling alley in Sugar House,
Very cool.
and my mom bowled on a league. And my mom and dad met there
bowling
at
league.
the bowling alley. Yep. And, shortly after
Things happen.
came Kristi.
Struck out.
Yes. Yeah, right. And my dad left his wife and married my mom.
Gotcha.
My mom and dad were together for 7 years, and my mom had a fun little affair and with this man named Glenn. And hopefully she doesn't care that I spill her tea, but it's very public knowledge, I guess. And my dad found out and called Glenn's house, and his wife answered. And eventually his wife became my stepmom.
What?
Yeah. So
Okay, so your mom had an affair with Glenn.
yes, Glenn's wife's name was Janet, or is Janet.
So then your dad
My dad
called Glenn's house to basically say, hey, I know what you're doing,
Yep.
but got a hold of his wife, Janet.
Yep. They put the story together and
Okay.
collaborated, corroborated, whatever you want to say. And
then they came together as a
then
couple?
they got together as a couple.
And then did your mom and Glenn stay together?
Nope. No.
Wow.
And my dad and Jan were married until he passed away. She was my stepmom my whole life.
Wow.
Wild, huh? So I met my stepbrothers. We went on a ski trip with my mom and her boyfriend at the time. And I met my stepbrothers long before they were my stepbrothers. Long like a year. It was long in child years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met them, and then and I always was like, isn't this weird? Like, how did you guys manage to meet each other's spouses? And no one came clean with me until I was 16 or 17. But yeah, so
That's wild.
it's wild.
Wow. So it's not so much of a family tree. It's more like family ivy.
It's
just
wild.
everywhere.
Yeah.
We have a very similar story.
Yeah.
That when Andrea and I got together, which was a product of an affair, when we got together, our ex-spouses decided to get together to poison the well for us. And then when the well didn't poison and Andrea and I actually ended up getting married, then them two separated. And it was like, I said, well, we tried to break them up and we couldn't. So yeah, we've been so bizarre. That's
Crazy.
so weird. So how was the dynamic with your parents? Because obviously they had an affair and your mom had gone off with Glenn and your dad went off with Jan. Like, how was all the parenting interwoven? Because now you've got multiple kids with multiple parents and stepkids and half kids. And was there any unity at all growing up? Did you feel unity?
Thankfully, my parents did. My mom and my dad did the best job of keeping me out of all of that completely. I think I was young enough that I didn't actually realize that there was an affair going on. I just thought my parents were not going to be married anymore.
Yeah.
And it was, I never had a moment that I remember being upset or frustrated about it. I just remember at one point my dad didn't live in the house anymore and he had an apartment and I just remember the good moments. I don't remember any of the hardship of it.
Yeah.
I know it was hard for my mom and Janet had a hard time for a long time. And then as I became into my teenage self, my mom and my dad struggled a little bit more, but never enough that it was traumatic for me.
Yeah. Did you ever feel any animosity to either Janet or to Glenn because they were kind of the
No.
outside factors that broke up your mom and dad?
No. No, honestly, I was the kid that was like, hey, I have the best way that we can solve this whole divorce situation. Like, if you guys just buy a duplex, we could put my room in the middle, and then I don't have to move.
So Kristi, the problem solver.
Right. And they were like, absolutely not.
That's hilarious.
It was a good thought.
So I'm assuming there was a lot of movement. You're going from one house to another, like a lot of time spent
Every
between
week.
homes.
I feel like it was every week when I was little. And as I got older, I hated the transition. And so it would be like every 2 weeks here and every 2 weeks there. And there were, of course, moments that I was like, I don't want to leave, Mom. Like, I know that those happened. But once you're settled, it's better.
So that really sets you up, I guess, for where life is now for you, with the family you have, with, you know, the twins and kind of sharing that, like, you understand that you've been there.
Absolutely.
You know, moving backwards and forwards. So you know the difficulty of not so much the twins are experiencing now, but like down the road when they're a little older, you're gonna be in their shoes and like, you know, this sucks, kids.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So what do you think the lessons you were able to learn from your childhood with the mixed houses, the multiple, you know, parents kind of moving and swapping and everywhere, and what was kind of some of the lessons or the gifts that came out of that you've been able to take through for the rest of your life that stood you in good stead?
I mean, let me just preface here that I have hands down 2 of the best step parents I could have ever been gifted. Like, I, as a young person, like, parent teacher conferences would show up and somebody would have a mom and I would have 2 moms and 2 dads sitting right behind me. Like, they were always at bat for me.
I love that.
And it was incredible. It was never a negative.
Yeah.
And where, you know, my dad would fall short, my stepdad would always show up. And I'm sure it was the same on the other end. And I think just that example of the unconditional love that they didn't actually have to give me, they chose to give me, was the biggest gift. And moving forward with these little girls, like, I, especially lately, because they finally are, you know, they're old enough that they know who I am, and we're making connections through things that they like to do with me. And I just think that leading with love in those relationships is the only way through it.
Yeah, because it's not the kid's fault.
Oh, absolutely
Like,
not.
you growing up, it wasn't your fault.
No.
So it's for you to be stolen or robbed of love because of the decisions that adults are making is so unfair.
Right.
And like, you know, you just said with the twins, like, it's not their fault.
No.
You know, you're the adult, they're little people. They need love and attention, and just pour into them.
100%. And I never felt that my parents didn't love me.
Yeah.
Never, not once. Any of them.
Yeah.
Still to this day.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's the fact that you had, you know, 4 parents or 2 sets of parents that will put their differences aside and sit in the same room for a parent-teacher conference or for a play or for whatever it is, knowing that they probably don't want to be in each other's space.
Yes.
But they
didn't want to live in a duplex.
They didn't want to live in a duplex. Yeah, they didn't want to live in a duplex. That's hilarious. Only you would come up with that. But they didn't want to live in a duplex. But they still put you first and put the children first, which is the way it should be, right? That's beautiful.
Yep.
So as you're growing up, you're like you said, you raised and grew up here in Sandy. What were some of the things that you were doing as a kid that, like, just, it was your thing, it was your vibe? Because obviously now I look at you and Riot Dance Fitness is your thing, and it, like, you've made that so impactful and so powerful. Has that always been a part of your life, the dancing and the kind of fitness thing?
No, I danced I danced just recreationally growing up. Took ballet, jazz classes, did performances. I always wanted to sing. Like,
Really?
Yes. I would tell everyone that I wanted to be a country singer.
And why didn't we follow that?
I did a little bit. I sang, and it was a passion for me for a while.
Really?
But I'm pretty sure I traded it out for dance, for
Okay.
movement. Yeah. because I stopped singing. Well, the last time that I actually sang a gig was the day the world shut down, March 13th, 2020.
So not that long ago.
No. And I was just like, I'm good. I don't think I want to do this anymore.
Wow. So when you said a gig, so like were you singing in like clubs and like
Just like small acoustic stuff. Yeah. And I recorded a little EP of not of my own songs, just of songs that I like made my family a little album the year that my dad passed away.
Okay.
And recorded songs for everyone, and just it filled my cup for a long time, and until it didn't. And I found something that was an equal artistic endeavor and also like made me feel incredible about myself and helped other people too. Mm-hmm. That's, I think, where Riot kind of came in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was it that just like, oh, I'm done with singing? Because there's got to have been something. You can't just sit there and go, I don't think I'm going to sing ever again.
Well, it didn't help that the pandemic hit. Literally, like they were like, I was singing at Oak, our restaurant in Draper. And they came out that night and said, no more in-person dining. Today is the last day. And we were like,
yeah, I can imagine. Okay. I can imagine you and Micheal just being like, holy shit.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
But honestly, it filled my cup for a long time until it didn't.
Yeah, yeah.
And
so do you still sing now, like in the kitchen or in the shower?
Like in my car when I'm driving?
I was going to say in your car when you're driving?
Yeah.
And was it country that was your genre?
In my mind, country was my genre.
Okay.
I don't think I'm actually meant to be a country singer. No. But I had a voice coach. Her name's Mindy Pack. She's absolutely incredible. She is Justin Timberlake's voice coach. Thank you very much.
Holy shit, girl.
Yeah. We talk about like the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. There's like 7 degrees of, I have like 1 degree of separation to Justin Timberlake.
Basically besties.
Right.
Like basically besties.
Right. Just me and then Mindy and then Justin.
That's crazy.
I know. She's incredible. Really, truly incredible.
Well, now I kind of want to hear you sing.
Well.
Is there videos? Is there recordings? Is there reels? Can we go back and watch these things?
So I have stuff recorded. Yeah, I'm sure there's terrible videos somewhere on the internet.
Your bestie needs I need to hear
I got
this.
you.
I need to hear a little country Kristi singing.
I got you. So I wrote, my stepdad had open heart surgery in 2018.
Okay.
And I wrote him a song called Open Heart Surgery. I'll send it to you. It's pretty funny.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Because I was like, ooh, why is everyone singing about like broken hearts? Like, oh, I'm so sad. And his is like an actual broken heart. Like we need a song about an actual broken heart. So we did. I wrote it.
I have this for the longest time when I came to the US, could not get behind country music. It just did not make sense to me. I couldn't understand why everybody in America loved country. I'm like, you're listening to some guy who's depressed, sat on his porch, drinking a beer, kicking his dog till it farts, watching a set of taillights going down the road that he'll never see again. I'm like, why are you all so obsessed with misery stories? There's none of them are happy.
No.
And then, when I moved here, I'm starting going into these bars whenever they've got country music on. I'm listening to songs like You Think My Tractor's Sexy. I'm like, this is what we're pinning the music in, the country music on, as like these stupid songs. But then as you start to be more open-minded and you listen to songs on the radio and then, you hear people like Chris Stapleton and like it just changes your world.
Yeah.
Right? Now I love country music. We saw Chris Stapleton 3 weeks ago in Phoenix and he was amazing.
Awesome.
But for the longest time, I just could not get behind country. I'm like, Johnny Cash, sure, I could get behind that.
Right.
But all this dipshit other country singers, I just could not get behind it for the longest time. And now I love it. I'll sing country all day long with my kids in the car. So you moved from singing to Riot. And
Pretty much.
And then you start what I honestly believe is one of the most fun, impactful, outgoing, leave all the cares behind in the world and all your ego at the door and just have an absolute blast of fun doing riot dancing.
Yes.
Where did that come from? Where did that start?
So it wasn't just that quick of a step. The Kristi that you know and have met is a very different person than the Kristi that was singing. And
Well, so who was the Kristi that was singing?
I think, well, and here's what I think. I think singing for me, I could, in a sense, step into a stage presence. Like in Riot, we call it your alter ego. And so I think when I stepped out to sing in front of people, I was a different person. And I was not confident by any means. And I was pretty shy.
Really?
Yes.
I would never get that from you.
Well, this is what dance fitness has done for me. Thank you. I most definitely, I've not ever truly cared what anyone thought. I've been pretty secure about who I was in my mind. I just wasn't necessarily brave enough to make sure everyone knew who I was.
Okay.
And knew that I felt that way.
Yeah.
Micheal and I have been together for literally our whole adult lives. And I was a child technically when I met him. No, I was 19. But he's always been the big personality. And it was really hard for me to stand, like we would have an opening and I couldn't be the person next to him. I just was not comfortable enough to stand like boldly in that space.
Gotcha.
And I just happened upon a friend that taught dance fitness. And it was just Zumba, which we always call the gateway drug because everybody starts with Zumba.
I actually interviewed yesterday a woman who's a leader.
Lindsay Taylor.
Yes.
Yeah, she's great. So
Yeah.
great. Zumba is the gateway drug.
Yeah.
See, even here I am today.
Yeah, yeah.
But I just started in a Zumba class and I was like in the back, had no idea what I'm doing. I know I have rhythm. I sing and I danced growing up. Like I know at least I can follow along, right? And a few months of that, you move to the front row, you're feeling pretty good. All it takes is this, a teacher to see you and be like, hey, you know this, come up here and do this. And you're like, no, ma'am, I'm not doing that. And she's like, you're fine. You can do this. And pulling me out of my comfort zone time after time after time, pulling me on a stage, making me do these routines in front of these people that I didn't know, who no matter what, if you go to fitness classes, the people in your fitness classes become your best friends.
Yeah.
There's got to be something like when you sweat and create endorphins with people, you don't care who they are. They're just your best friend.
Yeah.
Like I don't have a ton of friends right now that didn't come from dance fitness. But it was the catalyst for me to be completely comfortable with who I am anywhere because I just kept getting extracted from my comfort zone week after week. And then someone said, why don't you teach this? And I was like, oh, I would never. And she's like, why? I'm like, I don't know. I don't really have an excuse. Maybe I will do the training. And my friend Brooke, who is my partner in Riot, there are 3 of us that own it. My friend Brooke was like, had just barely certified in a different format. And I did the training right after her. And it's kind of been that like she paves the way for me in a sense, or had. She'd paved the way for me and created this dynamic where like we did it together. And we started kind of team teaching classes. Before either of us even had our own classes, we would sub for our friend who
Gotcha.
happened to be the Zumba instructor that created both of us in a sense.
Yeah.
And we would like team teach and we would banter back and forth with each other. And I remember saying to her, like, we have something here. You see that, right? You see that like the dance and the funny and us interacting with people, like that's something that people aren't doing, right? And then we kept teaching our format that we were certified in, and it was rocky, and the woman that owned it was just not in the best place to continue on with it. And so I kept putting out into the universe, like, we're going to buy it from her. We're going to buy it from her. That's what we're doing. Like, absolutely, we're just going to buy it from her. And the opportunity presented itself that she said, like, I'm done. I'm washing my hands of it. And I went to her and said, can I buy it from you? Tell me what it's worth. Like, I have been putting this into the universe. Like, it means this much to me. Let me build it. And she was like, no, you can't have it. Like, no, I'm not done with it. I'm just going to do something different with it. It's not going to be this anymore. And just very much like those founders feels of like, I won't let it go. Yeah. And I'm like, but I see its potential. And so Brooke and I were like, cool. So we have to do it ourselves. Like, we have to start from the beginning, and all these other formats that have inspired us and taught us and grown us up. Like, we're going to take what we love from them and we're going to create our own. And we did.
I love that.
Yeah.
If you'd have bought that Zumba class from that woman,
Mm-hmm. It was called Funk Fit.
I was going to say, would it have still had the same vibe? Do you think it would have migrated into the vibe that Riot does now, or do you think it would have stayed in the bucket that it was in?
I'm sure it would have stayed in its bucket. It didn't have the legs that Riot did.
Yeah.
But at the time we were like, but it did so much for us. We loved it so much. We were so passionate about it. We wanted to build it. We wanted to grow it. And starting from the beginning sounded scary.
Absolutely.
Terrifying.
What if nobody shows up? And just one person in the middle of the room and 3 instructors, like, this is a little awkward.
Right.
You know, but it has just gone from strength to strength, like from the inception, watching you guys to, you hosted Andrea's 40th birthday party with like 50 people in a warehouse. It was amazing.
It was great.
And the setup you have and the energy you bring, it was 60 minutes of nonstop. Everybody was exhausted. And I would say this whether you're in the room or not, but everybody had a damn smile on their face.
Yes.
They were dripping with sweat, completely soaked through, exhausted. Some people were doubled over, like sucking air in through every orifice, but they had a huge smile on their face. Yep. And so did you guys. Mm-hmm. You guys were laughing and smiling just as much as we were. You were in with the people that were dancing. You were on the stage. It was more than I ever expected. Mm. I've never been to Zumba. My mom was a ballet teacher, so I know what dance classes look like. It was nothing like I ever expected. And it was just, you had people there that knew how to dance. You had people there that had 2 left feet, but everybody just did the thing.
And for the most part, anyone can figure it out.
Yes.
Like people always say like, oh, I don't dance. I don't know how to dance. And I'm like, can you follow directions?
Yeah.
And if they say no, then I'm like, just tread lightly, start in the back.
Just shake your ass. Just move your hips. That's all you got to do.
And honestly, we are here for ourselves. Like no one's paying attention to what you're doing. But if you can follow directions, you can do a Riot class.
Yeah.
100%.
And it was funny to me. There were people at the back of the room for Andrew's birthday. They didn't really want to dance. They were there because wanted to be there, but they didn't want to be there dancing. And so they kind of stood at the back and just kind of wiggling their hips. And then 10, 15 minutes in there, one row closer. Right. And I'm like, by the end of it, they're at the front just giving it full send. I'm like, you son of a bitch. If you'd have been doing this from the beginning, you'd have had way much more fun. Mm-hmm. But they're kind of like, I'm kind of getting into this. They can do 1 or 2 moves. And then there's other people, they're not doing any of the moves that you're talking about. They're just in their own world, dancing their own vibe, just trying to keeping time with everybody else. Just do whatever. Great. Right? It's so good. And what's crazy to me is, I've only had the absolute honor and pleasure of knowing you for a little over a year, really knowing you. Obviously, I've known your husband, Micheal, for 18 months or so now, but I've never seen you, whether it's on social media or in person or whatever, I've never seen you as somebody who I won't say afraid, but isn't comfortable being in the spotlight.
That's not who I am anymore.
Yeah, I can't even fathom the Kristi McHenry that wouldn't be stood right next to Micheal side by side, like the power couple. That's unfathomable to me, because you've always just been this, like, that's freaking Kristi McHenry. Like, if there's not a door, she'll make one. So for you to even mention that is just like takes me back a little bit. I'm like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. Yeah. Going back slightly, you mentioned that you and Micheal have been together nearly all of your adult lives. So how old were you when you met Micheal? How did the two of you meet?
We have lived more life together than apart.
That's crazy.
Yes. I was 19 and I met through my best friend, Jen, who is honestly my only still long-term friend.
Okay.
You just keep a few quality ones, right?
Yeah, I think. I've made all my best friends in the last 18 months.
Right.
I have one person from the military that I stay in touch with.
That's like me. Jen
Yeah.
is my one person.
Yeah.
I don't care about most of my previous life relationships.
Yeah.
But so Jen, we worked together in retail and became steadfast friends. And her boyfriend at the time was a bowler. This is where my worlds collide.
So your parents were into bowling? Because I know Micheal was into bowling.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Very much so. So my dad owned a bowling alley and I grew up bowling. I worked at 12 in the bowling alley, dumping ashtrays, spraying bowling shoes.
Wow.
This was my life, managing league paperwork. Like I knew how to do leagues and stuff before I was even of legal working age. And so my friend Jen, her boyfriend at the time, was on a bowling league. And we would finish up working in the mall and want to go to dinner after. And so we would go out to Applebee's in the parking lot, of course, because that's what we did. And he and his bowling team mates would come. And I mean, do you know the demographic of a bowler?
No, they're not hot and young. They're not young and hot and sexy, that's for sure. They're like 80, they're like 60, 55, 60.
Yeah.
Midlife crisis.
And like kind of dorky.
Yeah.
Right?
Not Micheal McHenry.
So, but Micheal grew up bowling. And if bowling would have been in the Olympics, he would have been an Olympic bowler. He has bowled over 3,300 games. Wow. I mean, he's incredible. And
again, just something that blows your mind when you know people like, oh, Micheal McHenry, he's an Olympic bowler. I'm like, what?
I know.
With those nails? No way.
Not anymore.
Not with those hands and nails. No way.
But I promise you, if you put him in front of a lane right now and you gave him a ball, he would
just
blow your freaking mind. Yep.
I love that.
Yep. So we met through these Applebee's dinners, and I was just like, he was kind of obnoxious and definitely not my type.
Was he the outgoing type?
Very much.
That he
and
is now? He
was beautiful and
still is.
I was just going to say the was didn't mean to come out. He is beautiful.
He is. He's such a beauty.
He knew that he had been told by every girl, like he could get who he wanted. Yeah. And he could not get me.
Oh.
Yes. So I had met him casually at a dinner, and then we went to a movie, which I was blindsided with a little bit. Jen called me and said, we're going to go see The Butterfly Effect. I'm like, okay, fine. So I pulled my hood on my head, went to the movie theater, and I show up and it's she and Chris was his name, and myself and Micheal. And he's in this man was beyond metrosexual. Like my mom asked if he was gay the first time she met him. Like he's in a lavender shirt and she's like, Kristi, he might be. And I'm like, no, Mom, he's not. But so he's in nice dress shoes, nice denim, expensive denim, a leather jacket and a olive green t-shirt. And I'm in tennis shoes and a hoodie and have this mindset of, I want nothing to do with this dude, but whatever, we're here. So we go into the movie and I'm like this the whole time and his body language is turned towards me and he's trying to share Junior Mints with me. And I just am like,
he's smooth.
This is my own personal nightmare. And we walk out and make the connection that he owns a pro shop in one of the bowling alleys or bowling centers here in Salt Lake. And I'm like, oh, I worked there. I'm like, do you know Ty Gray, who was one of my best friends at the time? And he's like, Ty Gray's a bad word. And I was like, oh, well, your impression, we're done.
So how did he turn this around?
He was so persistent. And I think
Of course he was.
me not liking him was like the perfect challenge.
Fueled him even more. You were,
And you
were the
ask
nut
him.
he needed to crack.
100%. You could ask him. He'll be like, she told me that she loved me within 2 weeks. False. But that's the story he has in his mind made up.
Oh, Micheal.
And once I decided that I liked him,
How long did it take? Let's put the record
it
straight.
was-
Let's straighten this record.
until I liked him, it probably took a month.
Oh, really?
And honestly, a large part of it was he made me nervous because like I was not used to dating pretty boys at all. But yeah, it probably took me a month.
So what was it that started to change? What did you see in Micheal after that month that was like, okay,
I mean,
like,
he was persistent.
it was just
as
the
can be.
persistence.
Yes.
It's like if I say yes to him, go on one date, he'll go away.
He just
Hopefully.
didn't.
Maybe.
Yeah. He didn't.
I love that.
Yes. So through all of that, we dated for 7 years and got married in 2010. And yes, that was the year. Yeah. And here we are, 2024, 14 years.
Wow. And you've got a beautiful daughter, Elle,
Yes.
who's 13.
13. Yep.
13. You have all the time say that she looks like Micheal. I think she's the spitting image of you.
Thank you.
I've said this to you multiple times when you post pictures of you and Elle. I'm like, oh my God, it's like the two of you are just spitting image. And she's she just seems to like embody everything that you and Micheal are.
I love
She has the confidence that you and Micheal have. She has the love and the caring that you and Micheal have. When you see her on social media, like when you see her and Micheal, you can just see the love between the two of them. Same with you and Elle. When you see the two of you like these, that is a beautiful mother-daughter, father-daughter bond. She just seems to embody everything that the two of you have.
Thank you.
What are some of the things that you and Elle and Micheal love to do, which is like sacred to you guys? Like, what's something that like this is what we as a family do? We don't let anybody else in. This is our thing. Do you have something like that?
I'm like, that's tricky. I feel like because our family is small, everything that we have done, like we go on vacation, we always bring my parents or his dad or things like that like our traditions are more inclusive to the rest of our family.
Yeah.
And let me just tell you, if you were to sit around Elle, you would be like, oh, she is literally the copy paste. Her energy, her brightness, she is Micheal. Like, I know I'm in there, but the more you're around her, you're like, oh, well, and then when they gang up on you,
I can see that.
they are for sure the same.
I can see that.
They are the same. I'm constantly like,
I say one of Micheal is enough. Having a mini Micheal
Right.
and a Micheal.
well, and then we're going to throw 2 more into the mix,
and
right?
then you're going to throw 2 more into the mix.
Because
as
why
well.
not? Kristi, you're resilient.
And even if you weren't, you are now. Like, do you have a sacred room in the house, like Kristi's room, where you can
The
just go and hide
bathroom?
away?
I don't know. The shower?
The shower. There we go. Just go hide away. Like, I just need an hour, guys, for the love of God. I
No.
just need an hour. No, I'm teasing. I can only imagine. She, like I said, when you see Elle on social media and the videos that you guys post, she just seems to be everything that you two are, which is beautiful. With that being said, obviously, you've got Riot. You're very busy with Riot. You're doing multiple classes and all this sort of stuff. Micheal is obviously busy with all of the restaurants. He's got the multiple ones in here. He's got Pico Rica down in St. George, which it seems like he's there every week, being engaged down there. How do you guys find time or make time, more importantly, to stay so connected with everything pulling you in so many different directions? And Elle's at an age now at 13 where she can come home, feed herself, clean herself, look after herself, babysit herself if needed.
Right.
What do you do? Like, is there an anchor that you say, okay, this is a non-negotiable for us as a family because we have to stay connected? How do you do
Gotcha.
that?
Micheal and I always have honored that the two of us have a date night once a week. That's a non-negotiable. And that was always Thursday nights. until we started to take the 20s overnight.
Yeah.
And we get them pretty much every other Thursday. So we just kind of shift. It depends, but there's always one day a week that it's just the two of us, non-negotiable. Sundays, we always end up spending together as a family. The 3 of us for sure, sometimes the 5 of us. And especially lately, it's been a lot easier. So I quit my day job, which was doing hair.
Yeah, that's right. You were doing that for a long time, right?
Yep. To make sure that I could focus on Elle and her world. And like, I think people think like, oh, well, she's 13 and like she doesn't need you quite as much as she did before. And I actually think she needs me more right now than she did when she was little.
Yeah.
Like, so
is
yeah.
Is that in relation to the twins? Or just that she's in that time of her life where...
I just think that, like, yes, it's important. And I was around. I have only ever worked 2 or 3 days a week, maybe 4 a few years ago, but I've always worked pretty part-time and made myself available to pick her up from school most every day. And my mom would help, Micheal would help, like, but for the most part, it was us. And it just felt like I needed to step back into like being her parent heavier through these next few years.
Yeah.
I think kids kind of can get lost.
Yeah.
Because it's like, we know junior high is absolutely awful. And just because they can take care of themselves and can be independent doesn't mean they should have to be.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that. Yeah, we have Lily who's 13, same kind of boat. They want that independence. They want to do their own thing, but sometimes you still have to remember, like, you're still 13.
Yeah.
The world is not kind to you yet.
Right.
And now I'm sure you feel the same way, but like when the kids get to like 11, 12, 13, social media starts to become part of their life too. And, they have the negativity and the positivity and all the shit that goes on with social that shouldn't be part of social that starts to impact them. Like that's when we have to really wrap an arm around our kids and go, what you're looking at on social media isn't real.
No. Yep.
What you have here is real, that isn't. And, you've got to really help to separate those worlds.
Well, and that's, I think, hard enough as an adult
Absolutely
to
it is.
recognize.
Yeah.
So I can't even imagine like these sweet little impressionable brains.
Yeah. Yeah. And exactly. You touched on the twins. And most people probably know the story already because I know Micheal has shared it several times on several podcasts, but obviously your guys' world has shifted dramatically with the introduction of the twins. You mentioned now that you kind of having the twins more, over time and whatnot. What are some of the things that you have done to accept the twins into your life? And obviously I think I probably could say from what you said that it's unconditional love. These twins deserve unconditional love. It's not their fault that they're not yours biologically, but you're accepting them unconditionally and loving them anyway. But what are some of the things that you've done with regards to yourself to keep yourself balanced and checked? And also Elle, because it's a big introduction for Elle too. She's been a single child for a long time, and now she has, half sisters. What are some of the things you've put into place to protect both yourselves? Or maybe protect is the wrong word, but just to, I don't know. I think protect is the wrong word. Just to keep yourself grounded, I guess, in all of the new changes.
Right. I don't know that I have something specifically that I can tell you, like I did X, Y, Z. I will give absolute credit to my coaching that I have done with Melissa. I feel like the last 4 months, the relationship that like there was just not a healthy balance between myself, Aislinn, Micheal, and the girls. We hadn't figured out how to exist yet. We just hadn't. And a lot of that has come, I know that from the two of them as well, but I will fully give myself credit for the work that I'm doing there. And it's put me in a different mindset. And ultimately for me, like, I know what is important in this life, and I know I want to be with my people, and the rest just fills in the gaps.
Yeah.
And for Elle, I think knowing that she has me, she has her dad. Don't get me wrong, but those three are his. And I think just for her to know that she has me still solely, just as I had my mom, completely and wholly, has made it easier for sure.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I know you and I have talked briefly, whether it's in text or in person, that there was a lot of big changes coming down the road.
Yeah.
You know, like you mentioned that when the twins were starting to stay over more, maybe just weren't coming for the day, but they were actually coming and staying over. Like you had to create a bedroom for these guys and change, you know, entirely change around the house to accommodate these two little people. And that's a big disruptor.
Yes.
And then, like I said, you know, you've gone from Elle, who's got all this space and she's the only child, to now she's got little people and has to take his back seat slightly because their needs are more than hers are at the moment because they can't talk and feed themselves and all the other things. And, you know, it's a case of, you know, it's almost like when you have a dog and then you get a new puppy. The old dog's like, well, why am I getting all the toys and the treats and the walks? Right? So it's very important to create that safe container that they still know it's their home and they still know that this is your daughter and his daughter and she still is the apple of the eye and that kind of thing. So
yes. And I know for Micheal, he's done a very good job of making her still feel like, and he has expressed it to her, like, you're my number one. Always have been, always will be. But we didn't soft launch into having them. We, in January, had them for 12 straight days while their mom was in Egypt.
Wow.
And
how was that?
I mean, we learned a lot fast. And
well, because the crazy thing too is when you and Micheal had babies was 13 years ago.
Right.
A lot has changed.
Right.
He's taken on more businesses. You've taken on a new business. Like, you've both got older. Like, you're not as young as you were. Like,
well, and
a lot has changed.
That is noticeable. I said that the other day. I was like, oh, this is what is having 2-year-olds in your 40s. Like, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for this. I didn't need to check this box, but I'm doing it. Like,
but we're tired. But even just, you know, we had this, love our house. Our house is amazing. We had this interior designer come in and like curate this space for us. And it was gorgeous. And then we have toddlers. And so it's like, cool. Well, all of that gorgeousness just is going to go in boxes, and your velvet furniture, it's really gross. And so dramatic physical changes in your, you just live bare bones, right? You're like,
everything's got little protectors on it, and
everything has a lock. Toilet seats, lock. Cupboards, lock. Right? You don't want anyone playing in the toilet.
No.
Or flushing things down the toilet.
No.
And nothing at the 3 feet or below level. Everything above. So shelves, nothing. You know, no cute curated moments on your coffee table. You dance on your coffee table now because that's what you do when you're 2. But you don't get to have any.
So how's that mentally how's that mentally affect? Are you just like, this isn't even my home anymore? Like, where's all my shit?
That's those 12 days. I had quit my job. So let's see. That was January 6th. I quit my job January 4th. So I wasn't going to work. My house was completely not my house anymore. And then I had tiny human beings that I had to care for that didn't truly know me.
Yeah.
Really. Like, I had seen them, but they're little. Their brains don't retain that information.
Yeah.
And so they didn't know me. One is nonverbal.
Yeah.
And the other is at least verbal, but like I'm kind of a stranger to her.
Yeah.
And so I just, I would just step outside and cry every day and then
Woosah.
come back in and
Go take
fully
a shower.
send it.
Go hide in the shower. For
Right.
half
No,
an
I
hour.
was hiding in the garage at this point. I was like, I would walk outside and I'd be like, what did I do?
Hide in the garage with all of your belongings because that's where it's all
exactly, in
stored. It's like,
boxes.
my garage is now my living room. This is great, and the kids aren't allowed in it.
You couldn't set it up to make it look nice. It's still a garage.
Oh man, are you starting to slowly adjust and put things back? Or is
No, we're not putting things back.
Not till the 16.
Honestly, we're not putting things back until they will not knock them off and break them. Like little tiny hands, you don't know, but they will find whatever is breakable and break it in 2 minutes of being in a space.
Yeah.
It's like they have radar to glass. Oh, that vase is so cool.
Oh, I know. Andrew and I went for dinner at our neighbours the other day. They've been asking us to go for dinner for months, but we're always out of town, and weekends we're always doing different things. But we were actually in town one weekend, so we went round to our neighbours for dinner, and they've got littles, and they're cute, and they run around and they yell and they scream, and that's all great, kind of great. And then we can just leave and go home whenever we want, right? But they have this giant piece of artwork, and it's got like crayons all over the bottom of it. I'm like, oh, I don't miss that.
Yeah.
I don't miss that.
No.
I'm
No.
like,
That was Elle used to take crayons and color down the molding on our stairs.
oh, love that.
No one has colored in my house yet. But I say yet.
Yes.
Also, I'm like, come to think of it, we don't have anything. We don't have crayons or
So
art.
glitter,
No.
not allowed in my house.
Slime. Oh,
not
yeah,
allowed
no.
in my house.
We ban
Excellent.
hard. Yeah. No, no
glitter
slime.
and slime banned from my house. So much so when the kids used to get Christmas gifts, and if it had glitter or slime in it, my first reaction was like, "Oh, that's a great gift to take to your dads." And we would literally box up all the messy Christmas gifts and send them to their dads for Christmas Day. So he would get all the slime, get all the glitter. Perfect. We would have like the puzzles, we'd have the crayons, but anything that was messy, like boom, send it to your dad.
Yeah.
Send it to your
That's
dad.
so funny.
And don't feel bad about that at all.
No.
I still do it to this day. I'm like, F you. You get the mess. Oh dear. So as we're wrapping up, this has been amazing. I love the fact that you've come in and shared everything, and I love the balance that you and Micheal have, and I know the last couple of years have been difficult and a lot of moving things and things you've had to overcome, but you've come through it so gracefully and beautifully, and you have such a beautiful family and a dynamic that seems to be working. But
Thank you.
what's next for you? What's next for Kristi McHenry? We've got Riot that's up and running, and it's self-sustaining and it's growing, and I see that the culture of it is growing, or it seems to be. What's next for Kristi?
I set some pretty big goals for Riot itself
Nice.
this year. So the most unique part of Riot that is unlike other dance fitness formats. Typically, you have to certify in the format before you're given like the database, which is like our online. It holds all of our choreography, so you can learn any Riot dance at home. We have pre-made playlists. We have bonus content. We have a personal trainer that's put together a specific program for people that enjoy dance fitness so that they can be doing the weightlifting exercises that help like balance out what you need, like stabilization, so you don't ruin your life and injure your body while you're doing dance fitness. Our goal is to plug 300 humans into that by the end of 2024. And it's a big, scary, that's a big goal.
I love that.
So we don't ask just like instructors are not the only people that can be put in. So we don't have to certify 300 human beings, but we just want 300 individuals.
Yeah.
We are still doing certifications along the way. We have one that starts, our kickoff calls on the 23rd, and the actual in-person training day is the 30th, and there's 9 people signed up. And that's what we cap our certifications at, because there's 3 of us, and 3 each is for a 5-hour in-person day to get all of everything that you need is a lot.
So yeah, that is a lot. That is a lot.
Yep. So our goals are big, and I'm confident that we will get there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
From just doing 1 hour of it and seeing the impact and the fun and the laughter and the smiles that it brought, like, why wouldn't you want to buy into that? Like, if you love dance and you like to move and that's your jam, like, why would you not full send and do this?
And I mean, we make it reasonably affordable. It's $35 a month, which is kind of a no-brainer, right?
You can't even get gym memberships for that.
I know.
You know?
And the most amazing part of it is, like, for what it did for me, I'm seeing come back in threefold. It's changing people's lives. We get the stories of, like, the girl who was ready to be done with life. She's now one of our best instructors. And the people that start in the back row, so timid and not confident, and they are in the front row, and you can guarantee if you mess the choreography up on that stage, your front row's calling you out. They know, because they know it better than you do.
Yeah.
And those,
it's their anchor.
It is, yep. And just that has been so incredible to witness. And how could you not want to be a part of that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I love that. I love that you've chased your dream. You saw it. I love the fact that you did something so out of the normal for yourself, which which changed your life and your trajectory, and then you took that feeling and multiplied it. You're like, I want to take the feeling of how I feel and make others feel the same way.
Yes.
And I'm going to do it through fitness and dance.
Yep.
And you took a leap of faith, and I love that. I love that for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm very excited. Anything I can do to support Riot, I will do. If we can bring you to Arizona and get a group one going in Arizona, we'll do that.
Let's go.
Up in Phoenix or in Tucson, we can get 50, 60, 100 people to come to Riot in Tucson.
Done. You tell
let's
me
not
when
do it
and
in
we will
June,
be
though,
there.
because it's 110 degrees.
Yeah,
Let's do it when it's a little cooler. But we'll definitely do that. Kristi, I love you. I think you're one of the most amazing humans I've had the pleasure to meet.
Thank you.
Through your just who you are, your tenacity, your story, your compassion and love and empathy and everything that you bring to life, and all that you take in and make your own and still hold with such grace and composure, and the things that you do, I think is just phenomenal. I see you as a wonderful mother and a fantastic wife and a great friend, and it's just been an absolute honor and privilege for you to come in today. I really love it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Bare Den podcast. Please click subscribe and get the updates for our new episodes. And if you feel the need to reach out, you can reach me on Instagram @TheBritBear.